evening. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. You've reached the Fanaddicts of Film, the Fanaddicts of Film. And we're talking about Warping Dead.
Warping Dead? I hope you guys caught the season finale last night for the Walking Dead. It was a pretty good end to season 8, I think.
It was
Worth, right?
Yeah.
The episode?
No. Worth was the last one. This is
Wrath. My bad.
Yeah.
Wrath.
Same thing. They're the same thing in most countries, correct?
I believe. I don't want to stereotype anyone.
Sorry,
I'll just say this. A lot of good stuff happened in that episode.
It was kind of a. I didn't know what to think about it at first. I really didn't know what to think about it. Of course, now I don't think it's not my favorite one of the season. No. Definitely not my favorite one of the season. However, there was a lot of really. It was like a variety show, kind of. There was a lot of stuff going on, and it's like it made me right away. It made me realize how many new characters that we have, new succulent stories that we can sink our teeth more
really
into.
Get in there and just devour like a zombie. No, I thought it was interesting how like you said, it wasn't my favorite episode of the season.
Yeah,
but it was good because it was the culmination of all the different subplots coming together. Some of it in really logical ways, others were kind of just thrown together, it felt like, but at the same time I felt like it was a good season finale. It wrapped up a lot of the stuff, and it definitely made me happy in resolving the situation between the Hilltop and the Sailors. So.
In some weird parallel, I feel I just have to have a Breaking Bad moment. In a lot of the Breaking Bad seasons, we would have, you'd have at the end of the season, you would have a cliffhanger, and then you would have the very next season not necessarily the very next season, but you would have a resolution point at the very end of the season, and so you'd have that, and it'd be like, that's weird. I was sure there would be a cliffhanger. It's like I would be thinking that just because you would expect that because it happened so often, and at that time when Breaking Bad was such a huge thing, it was such a big thing, and Walking Dead was just barely getting underway when you had all those cross marketing, but things that were happening like the blue meth and stuff like that in Walking Dead. But anyway, I digress. But my point that I'm trying to make it here is that I did not expect it to kind of resolve the way it did in so many ways. There was like a resolution point for almost every single story, which was rather bizarre and like you said, kind of thrown, made it feel a little thrown together. But at the same time, when you watch it the second time, I did see some richness here. I did see some, and like I've complained about so many times, I didn't see enough of, a couple of times. We didn't see enough mourning for Carl initially, but it trickles. It's like a trickle down thing, here, especially with the stained glass hanging from at the end and everything. Yeah. So, but the point is at the end of this episode, we have this like beginning point you see, with Rick and Carl, and then you see at the very end, and I just love I actually did really love the end, how he's talking about how he feels resolute in Carl.
Yeah, I was actually. I can't believe it's been 6 months already. It really at the end, it just reminded me of the very first episode
of the season.
And,
what does it remind you of? Just
the images that we saw of Rick sitting against the tree, the tears in his eyes, and you're seeing the weird reflection of light on his face, and then as the series,
yes, of course,
season progresses, you start to realize that it's from a window that is hanging from the tree that he's looking at. That part of it's busted out. And it just kind of took me back to that, and it was just kind of like, wow, 6 months already. Like, it just came and went.
Seeing that scene, I was actually terrified because the way his eyes.
The season premiere.
Seeing that season premiere and seeing him, because of the way he looked, his glassy eyes, the way he appeared to have be dazed and confused about everything, and just being like my. Whateverness overpowers my wrath, my
loveliness overcomes my wrathfulness.
But him with the expression on his face, I thought that he was mourning something, but
dying.
Yeah, or something. Something was
And instead, it's just one of those moments. Not to give too spoilers. There will be spoilers. We expect you to have seen this episode by now. So, just saying. Spoilers here. The ending definitely he was in a different place. It's not what I thought. I thought, like you thought, he was either mourning the death of somebody or everybody in the group, or he was dying, and instead it was more of a, it's over. Like, just the emotion of having to go through the stress of the whole ordeal of this season finally coming to a conclusion. Like, they actually, I think, had, like you said, so many endings to so many subplots. I mean, there's a lot of resolutions in this episode where, in a lot of seasons before, you'd have resolutions to maybe the main threat, but there'd still be subplots lingering, or they would resolve some of the subplots but still have the main threat lingering for the next season and end on a cliffhanger. Or even, it only ends on a marginal cliffhanger. Or
even end with this, most of the things, but then have this one other thing go, oh no, it's a cliffhanger, and then and so that's what carries you into the, what's next, I can't wait.
And it does that too. It does the da-da-da. It should. I personally think that anytime you end on a cliffhanger, it should just be the 2 notes from Law and Order. Or the 3 notes or whatever. Dun-dun. That just, it could work for anything for me. I mean,
like, really good.
The end of the last Star Trek movie could have had a cliffhanger and it'd be like dun dun, and I've been like, oh, I got to see what's coming up next. It just does that.
Because you could be like, I hate this show. It sucks. Dun dun. What's going on? What's going on? What's going to happen?
What's that noise?
So this was funny. Just seeing Carl and Rick, and it's just it was nostalgic and beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful and I was completely fooled by how they, I mean, you mentioned, of course, makeup and all these things, but I was like, is that a different actor playing Rick? I literally thought.
Yeah, they really made Andrew Lincoln look very young. But shaving that off and dyeing the hair and cutting it a little bit shorter, back to the haircut he had in the first episode, definitely made him look so much younger.
It was funny. The curl mullet. Or whatever you want to call it. It's not really a mullet, but definitely
it's kind of
the
a
curl.
Mullet. It's a bit mullet.
Yeah, it's when you compare it to Eugene. Definitely not a mullet.
Well, yeah.
Because Eugene is, yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing. I just kind of wish somebody would have just grabbed him by that thing and just punched him in the face just once, but nobody ever will.
I think you would have.
If I had been on the show, if I was a character, I think just seeing the man and hearing him talk, like, just automatically I'd have been like, nope, punch, and then when he's out, just zzz, and then just give him like the full shaved, like, we're going to bick this thing. No more mullet. It's 2018. It's not cute anymore, Eugene.
Cut the mullet. Looks like a rat's nest.
But it's a very nice sentimental moment there.
Yeah, it was great. It was really great to see them because season 1, man, it took me back to season 1 or whatever. Yeah. So this was cool, like describing Carl's final moments, like in specifically saying that he's trying to save a woman he didn't even know. Yeah, Rick, and I really like this surgeon guy.
It was nice when Rick kind of, he obviously he harbors some animosity towards this guy because, well, my son died to save you, we don't know you, we don't know what you're worth and capable of. But finally, Rick asks him, tell me about what happened. And just this guy telling his story about why Carl decided to help him out and decided to save him. And it's based on something this guy said to Carl about his mother.
Yeah.
What his mother always said. And it's basically like, he was he's saved this man over a principle based on this man's mother's philosophy on life. And he didn't even know this guy, like,
Something really interesting. I'm so glad you brought this up because something really interesting made me think about this. She believed that their souls were trapped in the bodies after they had become walkers. Yeah. After they become these walkers.
And by killing them was setting them free. Man,
it's a sad and scary thing too. At the same time, like just thinking about that, all these people's souls are just trapped in it. Sadiq,
played by Avi Nash.
Yeah, I am loving him just because he's able to. It's like it'd be horrible if it was just some dude who he had saved and it was just like not someone worthy of saving. But he's proven to be like worth. He's I want to prove it. I want to make up for what happened, man. I realize how amazing Carl was, and I see the light in your eyes from him and all these things. And
I think he was a good guy to begin with. He was
exactly
just trying to survive. But
right.
It seems to me this season that a lot of the people that they've been saving or have kept alive, whether they wanted to or not, I'm talking to Hilltop people here, the people that they have kept alive, for the most part have ended up becoming like trustworthy people. That they've kind of welcomed to their group. So the cast is just ever expanding. Like my man Charles Halford, who was in a couple of episodes, really cool. It's always cool when you watch a show and you're like, hey, I know that guy. Like, I know that guy. Not like I know who he is, but I know that guy. But this list of just regular reoccurring actors, I mean, it's just ever growing. They're just adding a lot to their. I hope they don't have way too many characters that they can't possibly write them all in. So
well, it's like I mean, if they have enough episodes, they can always make room for them. But yeah, I know I'm with you there, man. Like, I think it's just ultimately because they want to be able to kill. They want to kill. Yeah. They want to be able to kill the people, so they keep developing more and more. I love this scene specifically with and the King Ezekiel and Jerry. Yeah. You loved what he said here. This morning be our last, not accepting pessimism here, but he just keeps talking about loss. So this whole opening episode is just talking. They're all talking about loss, just how much they've lost and everything. Yeah. But not losing crap, man. So and I love how they actually I love it how like King Ezekiel falls out of character, out of character here, and he's just like, all right, man, it's cool, it's cool.
Just do the fist bump.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. No, that
was a
Jerry's
great moment.
Been one of my favorite.
He's great
sporting characters, just because I feel like I could relate to that guy. Like if I was in the Hilltop, like I'd probably hang out with that dude. He loves to follow King Ezekiel and his example. He's completely loyal to him. And
he believed in him the whole time. I mean, the whole time, no matter what.
Yeah, he and I think Carol were the two that sort of helped Ezekiel come back when he was kind of going through his own self-pity. Yeah, like you do when you unfortunately march several people to their death.
So when you and I watched this last night, Morgan, the first thing you said was you were like, "Yeah, I think Morgan's really losing it." That's the first thing you said.
It seems like he's got a fractured psyche because he's seeing people that he's killed. He's seeing people that he thought were dead, like the boy, the kid that they were looking for in the last episode, who wasn't dead, but when they were in the bar, trapped by the saviors, he thought he saw him there. Yeah, and it's just he's been going through ever since the first episode, because he's in the pilot episode, which, by the way, on the special edition Blu-ray of the first season, Frank Darabont also has a black and white version of it, and that's the version that I love to watch. It's a little bit longer.
Of the pilot?
The pilot. Oh, it's like the extended cut. I haven't seen black and white. It's really cool. But Morgan's character, ever since he's started appearing as a slightly reoccurring character every few seasons before he became a main cast member, it seemed like losing his wife, losing his son, he couldn't kill his wife in the pilot even though she was zombified. He could only kill her after she attacked their son, which he had to kill as well. It just seems like he's been on this downward spiral where for a moment he kind of got zen. He got really zen and became like a master, like a Zen master with the staff and everything. But it seems like, and he wasn't killing anybody for a while, but it seems like once he kind of trickled back down that path, it's like when he was locked up in the cage, when he's being trained by that and I forget the actor's name, John Carroll Lynch. He's a fantastic actor. When he was training him, it seemed like he was kind of like a caged animal, and it feels like that's coming out again. Like he's having a hard time knowing who his allies are. He wants to, basically his first reaction, if you came up from behind him just to be like, "Hey buddy, you want a piece of pie?" He'd probably just knock you on your feet and almost slam the staff in your face. So feels like he's really losing it.
Yeah, PTSD to the most,
to the nth degree.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. And I mean, and like we were saying last night, I was just thinking, man, Morgan, like you think of him as a relatively new character because he's been around for the last 3 or 4 or 5 seasons, something like that.
I think he's been a regular since season 4.
Right, but
5.
But just remember, like a quick reminder, he was in the pilot. He was in the very beginning. So,
and I like Morgan a lot, so I kind of hate for him to, anything to happen to him where he's not on the show anymore. But
yeah, I mean, he had a weird departure. But anyway, we're gonna get into that in a second. But we both lost everything good, and Rick's just like, no, we haven't lost everything here. It's an encouraging moment because he is even though he seems hopeless here, it's like he is encourageable still.
And the two make a really good team.
They really do.
But
they're old friends, and that's the thing that I was trying to remind people here. This scene specifically had a little bit of emotional impact for me because they have been together, or they've seen it from the beginning together at least.
Well, I kept waiting for him to come back into the show because I thought, okay, he's going to join the team, and it's going to be like he's a badass, and Rick's a badass, and they're all going to be badasses together. And no, he came back into the show like a very damaged and fragile character.
Yeah.
Everybody's damaged, and I don't think you could live in a world like that where you're not damaged. Again, that's probably why I like Jerry so much, because he's one guy who I'm sure he's lost everything, but he doesn't seem to be completely broken at one point or another.
I love Jerry. Okay, so and what does it matter if we spend whatever's left? Once again, just talking about what we have available. You were so. Both of us were expressing our anger at this point in the episode for Eugene, of course. He is the dude is like full of anger this whole episode, or at least he appears to be extremely. He's either really determined or really angry or both. He's staring down everybody in this entire episode.
Yeah. Again, wanted somebody to just grab him by the mullet and punch him in the face, just because he became such a turncoat and such a hypocrite.
Yeah.
But now I have kind of a different feeling about it because
it's
of
weird.
What transpires, which we'll get into shortly. But also, like, we're building up to essentially like this great war between the saviors and the hilltop. It'll be written down in the history books. The great war between the saviors and the hilltop. It'll be taught to their children, who will be like, in the before times, long, long ago, like it's Mad Max all of a sudden. But I really liked. I felt bad for Dwight, and kind of his outing as being somebody who had been helping the hilltop and kind of what Negan's doing to him. But this was a very interesting scene where he has. Negan has Dwight essentially tied up, and he's wearing this. It looks like a bag. It doesn't even look.
What
like
does the
shirt.
A stand for again?
I don't. To me, it probably stands for, but I don't know for sure because I don't think he says what. I don't remember him saying what it specifically stands for. But this speech right here, where he's basically telling Negan's telling Dwight, you once had these people's respect, and now these people know you're a traitor, and we're going to send you off to your death. And the whole time I just kept thinking, man, I really hope that doesn't happen to Dwight. I really hope he gets out of this situation because he sacrificed a lot. He's done terrible things and he knows it, but he sacrificed a lot to help these guys.
And I think that's unanimous. Like everybody that I've spoken to absolutely loves Dwight, and it's crazy to see someone become such a loved character in this. You once had these people's respect. Well, now you don't have a damn thing, and it's what you always make fun of how much Negan talks, but he does have great lines.
Sometimes,
and it's
so no, I would say it's 50-50. I'd say he's got some great lines, and then he's got some like, okay, twirl the mustache a little bit while you're saying that.
Yeah. Anyway,
sleep be damned.
But of course, that's Eugene's reassurance that everything's going to be going to as planned, but explains it in such a wonderfully eloquent way, like he's reciting lyrics to a song. I swear, it's so funny.
Well, at this point, I was just hating Eugene even more.
Yeah,
like it's getting to a point where I was just seeing that mullet and I'm just going red. Like, will somebody please just do something about this guy? Because he's just letting all this power that he's got go into his head, or so it would seem.
Yeah, it is one of those things that we were both, you and I were like, hope this mother dies.
This finale, I will not be happy unless he is dead by the end of this finale.
That's what I think.
I said he needs to die, and I don't want to see his stupid mullet face again. And because it just really pissed me off how badly he like turned on these guys.
Yeah.
But then again, did he? I don't know. We'll see.
It's weird. But this is, I just had to get this. Sleep be damned and efforts be tripled, depending on the terrain and timing, and the pump and primer. He's reading the lyrics. It's just funny. Anyway.
And there's Morgan again.
So Morgan is seeing can you tell me, can you remember how many different people he has seen who are dead?
Well, this guy was from the previous episode.
From the bar.
At the bar.
Which was a crazy scene.
Yeah, he locked the guy out and let the zombies devour him. At the same time, in the bar, he saw the kid. I always forget the kid's name, the blonde-haired kid. And that kid wasn't even dead. He was alive. They were looking for him. I know he saw somebody from the hilltop or saviors that he was actually gonna, like, you remember he saw him in the forest, started running towards him.
Yeah. Just like literally a couple of episodes ago.
It was
and this guy, this does make me think of the bar scene, and how that in just a couple of scenes ago, a scene ago, they were talking about, and that's why Morgan was so upset, is because of what they did in the bar. I mean, they basically turned on these guys and cooked them alive. But I mean, it's but it's at the same time.
It.
At the same time, these guys. I mean, it's like they looked down upon the things that they've done. But at the same time, those. I mean, they were just going to take them right back to Negan and have them butchered. This season, once again, I feel like my favorite character now is Gabriel.
Yeah,
he
he's
has
one of
become
them. Definitely.
Holy cow, he's become my favorite. And he calls him Gaby boy in this. So
he's
lame.
Just trying to be insulting.
It was so lame.
But
and
I liked this scene here. I thought it was really interesting.
What did you like about it?
Well, so Gabriel tries to escape, right? He's still kind of he had been taking antibiotics to get his sight back, but it's not he doesn't have his full vision yet. But he realizes that what's going on and that there's a trap been set up for the hilltop, and he's come to love and respect these people in the hilltop and consider them family, where at first he didn't. I mean, it took a long time for them to gain his trust and respect and vice versa. So he takes it upon himself and leaps from the vehicle and goes running through the woods when he can't see for squat, and you know he's going to get caught. And he does. And it's just like
it's ballsy though.
It's very ballsy on his part.
He jumps right out.
But Eugene just super intense with the gun, and you're just like, okay, again, Eugene needs to die.
This was the scene where you were like, Eugene and Negan are standing right next to each other. Eugene's got a gun. He's like, he could totally take him out right now.
You know, like the only way Eugene can redeem himself is if he just shoots Negan in the head right now, which I know it's not going to happen because,
of course,
you know, it might not be a direct adaptation of each issue of the comic book, but they are following specific storylines, and they are definitely Negan's the longest running and most popular villain in the comic book. They're not just going to have Eugene put a bullet in the back of his head and take him out. They're kind of defeat
Which would have been surprising as hell, though.
It would have been, and if this had been the last episode of the series proper, like if it was coming to an end, something like that could have probably worked.
I don't know, man.
But it would have totally, at that moment, I would have been like, welcome back, Eugene. We have missed you. But at this point, I'm just like, you know, Gabriel's, he's got guts, and I really just dislike these two men that are standing in front of him.
Welcome back, Eugene. We welcome your mullet with full force. No.
They should be like, you know, we welcome you back, but it is the 21st century. If you're going to live here, the mullet's got to go. That would be my stipulation. Like, honestly, if I lived in a post-apocalyptic society where we only get a shower like whenever we can find water and a bath, I would still have a sign on the side of the entrance to the place. No mullets and definitely no stairway to heaven. I'm just saying, you know, like Wayne's World reference.
Yeah. So this is an interesting. I actually did tear up a little bit and to get a little bit of goosebumps here. And you know, Jesus showing him. Let me try something with the stick here. Okay? Take this side. This side is for the killing. This side is for the living.
Dude, I like Jesus, man.
No, that was cool character. That was actually really great. And you love Jesus. You love him. I mean, after they first found him in that stupid truck when they were fighting over food with him 3 seasons ago or whatever it was. And I love Jesus too in this. He's great.
He loves you too.
Thank you. Anyway, it was.
Well, it's funny too because after he gives this like really nice speech to Morgan about like you don't have to kill. There's a better way. And then he takes the staff and he does the whole this side for killing, this side for healing or whatever. But then he walks away, and then Carol just walks behind him and just like, Jesus. And you just like, that's so clever.
That was a great moment of this episode. I remember both you and I laughed our asses off from that. That was
nice little
funny.
moment of humor amongst all this seriousness.
And this was really, I was a little freaked out at this part, but once again, for some reason, this whole scene should have had a little bit more tension. I don't know what it was. For some reason, it didn't have as much tension as I thought it might have been. Anyway, I mean,
just to be fair, it's all the group from the hilltop, Rick and Daryl and Maggie and everybody, Michonne and everybody, and then you just hear the everybody doing the Negan whistle,
crap.
And then it's just like Negan's voice over a megaphone and everyone doing this with their gun.
Where is he?
Nobody's moving. Nobody's falling back. Nobody's moving forward. It's just I did feel like it could have been a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
Instead, it was more dialogue heavy, but it kind of made up for it in the moments to come. Methinks.
And he got to stand up here and watch you all die. It's the angles are beautiful, really greatly shot. But yeah,
that scene made me super happy. I loved how everything they would have killed them. That would have been the end of the show right there. Rick and everybody else would have been killed because they definitely have more weapons. But I love that they all backfired and most of those guys got killed.
Did this redeem Eugene for you?
I'm gonna say it definitely redeemed his recent behavior, because then you realize that. Well, first of all, I was confused. Like, why would Eugene do this when he's really falling in line with the Saviors?
Yeah.
And then we get to the reason why later, and that really made me turn around. But also at the same time, I was like still pissed at him for like, really, vomit? You used vomit to escape? I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about it. But then again, he gets redeemed for that too. Like,
and it doesn't. And yeah, somehow. So I'm just curious. I mean, if anyone has any comments about this, like, has anyone known someone to shoot a backfired gun? Does it actually kill you? I mean, does it just explode? I mean, I guess an exploding gun would really severely.
If it sends shards of metal and things into your face, I mean, there's a good chance you could definitely hit arteries and things. I mean, you have to think that yes, it's a television show, so chances are probably not as many fatalities. Probably a lot more. They'd probably be mostly injured as opposed to dead. But it was one of those cool, like, how are they going to get out of this situation? And it was actually one of those things where I'm going, okay, I hope there's not a Deus Ex Machina moment here where, like, the girls from the camp show up out of nowhere, or like the rest of the Hilltop guys show up out of nowhere. You didn't see them coming, and then they just save the day. So this was a little bit more logical. It was totally out of left field, but it still was like a little bit more logical. And I did one of these. I almost went into a golf clap, like a Dark Knight kind of a. Because it was just like, bravo, good job.
That was
waiting to figure that out.
You were in a golf clap last episode, weren't you?
Yeah.
Slowly.
Golf clap's a little softer.
And this was a funny moment because I hadn't realized that. I mean, I was still trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
And when we first saw this, I was like, okay, and then, okay. So, and then they I guess they're all finally realizing that Eugene was behind it. So that was a kind of a crazy moment.
Yeah.
Kill the traitor type of thing,
And he killed. He actually did. He took out that one girl who was definitely one of Negan's right-hand henchmen, and I think she was pretty unredeemable. So the fact that she was like, he did it, and then he shoots her, okay. He's starting to redeem himself now.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean this moment, of course, I think he ends up killing this guy here. Morgan does, but anyway.
No, he didn't. Remember?
Oh, this is where Jesus talks him out of it. That's right.
Like,
Jesus talks him out.
There's another way, and I don't think that it's Jesus is above killing anybody, because he has. I think it's more or less kind of what you said last night, that with Morgan, it's about preventing Morgan from killing people, because the more he kills, the more he just can't keep it together. And he's got to KIT that, man. He's got to keep it together.
And I think it's about giving him that choice and reminding him that he does have that choice. And And it does. It helps him. It helps him
That's
recenter himself.
Yeah.
Because he does a lot of the times he just like, I'm just gonna blah. And it's great to see him. Okay, yeah, I do have this choice, and reminding them.
Because it does seem like he's one end of the extreme or the other. It's we've got to kill everybody, or I will kill nobody. And it's like, no, dude, you have a choice, and you don't have to kill, but sometimes you have to kill. So yeah, I think that's good point.
Speaking of making choices, we're gonna get to that in a minute here, but yeah, this is the women coming from the camp, and
Aaron.
Aaron was great.
Ross Marquand. He was doing that hunger protest to try and convince these guys or gals to join in the fight. But like Negan and the Saviors affect us all. You may think you're hidden from him now, but eventually, so join us, and he did. Although you didn't really see that transition, their agreement. So it was, in a way, a slight use of the Deus Ex Machina, where they did sort of come out of nowhere, but at the same time, it was cool because it was like, the remaining people of the hilltop were trying to escape, while the Saviors had sent another party to the hilltop to kill every single one of them. Children, it doesn't matter, just going to kill everybody. So to have that extra aid, where they just took out several of those guys right in one explosion, that made me happy.
I hadn't realized that they had said to kill the children too. That's crazy.
Negan, don't you remember? He was like, that's it. We're gonna kill every one of them. It doesn't matter. They're all gonna die.
So so there's a little part of me that wishes that they had a little bit more of an impact on the larger story.
I agree.
Because they were kind of this really cool what's the word? Secret weapon that came out of nowhere, and that was really cool to see them.
Well, you remember when they introduced him? They introduced him in season 7, and it seemed like in the episodes where they had introduced him, and then kind of going back to them, that it might have been a bigger part of the picture. And it seems like this season they were kind of thrown to the back, and how do we use them again? Oh, this is how we use them, and that's fine. It works. Like I said, it was good in resolving all these subplots, and I'm sure we'll see more of them. Those characters, because they're all sort of
Hopefully so, especially since there are people who suffered through and escaped the Saviors. I mean, that's just like that's a story to tell, and that's like big character development too. So I'm anxious and curious, and definitely excited to hear more about these women. And hopefully they'll either join the hilltop or do something, and it'll be cool.
I think that's what
they
saw
were
towards the end. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this is cool. So thanks again for everybody for hanging out with us. We're almost to the end here. Once again, Aaron hanging out and bringing these women back into the happiness and fun and of killing.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Just
an average.
Well, I loved. This does remind me of last episode when he's like, "You gotta fight!" Giving them their speech and everything. It was a really cool, great moment in this. Once again, our tree with the stained glass.
Yeah, for some reason, just the stained glass hanging off the tree. What purpose does it serve? I don't know. I've never hung a stained glass off a tree, but it looks cool. I'm sure.
Yeah, it doesn't make you wonder how they got here. But once again, it's like the resolution of a song. You have the beginning, middle, and end, and this does bring us back. And it's, I mean, for anyone who doesn't like this, like this show. I mean, I get maybe why you don't like it, but there is a lot of great storytelling and poetry involved in this, because we saw this very tree with these stained glass at the very beginning of this season. So you have image poetry there. So
and then this final confrontation, so far, and probably for good, between Negan and Rick, because unlike the comic book, the television show will eventually come to an end, because a lot of these actors probably want to move on to other stuff, or already have other stuff lined up, so it's not going to be an indefinite thing. But so as far as I'm concerned, this is probably the final major confrontation between Rick and Negan, at least where they're trying to kill each other. And it got really kind of emotional for a minute, because it seemed like, Rick's been overpowered, they're both injured, and Negan's about ready to kill him. And it seemed like for a minute Rick had actually broken through to Negan, where Negan's lowering the bat, and he's getting kind of emotional to himself
because of Carl. And I think every time this happens, I don't know if you know this, every time that does happen to Negan, it's because of Carl. Negan really
he took a shine to him. He actually he spends more time with him in the comic book than he did with the television.
With Carl?
Yeah, it was one episode of the television series, but Carl's braveness, I guess, or ballsy attitude, kind of definitely impressed him. And I'm sure he saw in Carl like this kid is going to be part of the future that's going to keep us alive. But it seemed to me like for a moment, before Rick did what he did, that the two might have been able to work something out, like as contemporaries as opposed to enemies.
Yeah.
But I still understand why Rick did what he did. So.
And yeah, it's like, but he's so convincing here. Rick is. He's so convincing, and he just takes him out. It's a crazy thing. Spoiler, sorry. So yeah, Maggie's reaction here is absolutely heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah.
I was completely invested in Maggie. I'm hugely invested in Maggie. When Glenn died, I was horrified, and I thought for sure, they did it in the comics already. They're not going to do it this time. And they when they did Abraham, and then it's like they had to do a double whammy. So that killed me when I was one of those people who was championing Glenn getting hiding under the dumpster for 2 weeks or however long he had to stay under there. But honestly, I'm on board with Maggie because of that. I've always been on team Glenn and Maggie. These two have always been huge characters for me, and it was really sad to see her just lust for revenge. Absolute. Well, not lust. It's more of just a necessity. It's more of a necessity for revenge. She just needs it to feel some resolution of some kind.
And I can't believe that it's been almost 2 years since Glenn and Abraham were killed on the show.
Crazy.
It's just, wow. Probably won't feel like that when I go back through once the show's all done and I binge watch it all. It'll probably just be like, a matter of days, considering how quickly I can binge watch something. If there was a competition for binge watching, I'd probably be world champion. I'm just throwing it out there. We're a strong contender. But, this moment was heartbreaking because... you kind of wonder why Rick wants to keep him alive, and I get it. It's because of Carl, but at the same time, you definitely want to see him get killed.
Yeah, and whenever they mention Carl, it's there's this whole other sentimental thing happen because he is kind of like this. Once again,
he's a catalyst.
He was he's a voice of reason. He's something that gets people thinking about how because he kept talking about something better. There's got to be something after.
I kind of look at him as being a catalyst for change in this season, probably more so than he's ever been. So
that's cool. Yeah, and so we got some of that, and of course Rick's echoing Carl's words, his own son's words.
Yeah. But Maggie doesn't know that those are Carl's words.
I know, yeah. I know.
He didn't write her a letter. They haven't really talked, so she doesn't understand why Rick's doing this.
Which is very interesting and brings us to the next thing, and we'll get to that in a second. But, the vomiting moment and the punch and the vomit.
And see, the punch, finally. She didn't grab him by the mullet. I would have. I'd grabbed him by the mullet and then a shirt over the face and, Happy Gilmore that thing. But, that punch in the face and his reaction, she's like, that's for the vomit. And he's
just like, okay.
Well, that's fair. Right. At that point, it was like, okay. I don't know if I fully trust Eugene again, but I don't know because he did. I felt like he played a long game, but as it turns out, he wasn't playing a long game. He really was set to be a savior, but it's what Gabriel was saying to him.
Yeah.
And pleading with him that changed his mind. And I just thought that definitely... It's going to be interesting to see where his character arc goes in the next season, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how everybody treats him because of what he's been through, what he did. It's like, are they going to put him in a cell? Because she promised him that she'd put him in a cell and all these things. I mean, apparently, she's just gonna give him a sock and
punch, a kiss in the mouth is a good. I guess that's enough. We'll see.
And actually, so as I was saying before, my new favorite character of this season has been Gabriel. However, my second favorite new character of the season has been this guy.
Yeah,
and I can't remember.
I like that guy, and I can't think of for the life of me what his name is right now.
But I pulled it. I said it a second ago, and I can't remember. But anyway, he's really cool because he was like you don't know whether to believe him at first. When you first introduce him, he's like, "Hey man, I wasn't with these. I was only with these guys for like 2 days because they pulled me in. I'm not one of these guys. I don't. He seems like a good natured, but you have no idea. You don't know whether to trust him. So you slowly, we slowly get grab onto the trust for him. So, and he's talking about the saviors going back to rebuild the sanctuary, blah, 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 or start something new there, whatever. And he's just like, I was never meant to be there. But he talks about the book that was given which is kind of a random story point, that book to the Key to the Future.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that book was exactly?
I don't.
Okay,
that was one of those small details I must have missed somewhere along the
I do remember it was given to us by one of the random character who was the old woman who's like, information. She was just talking about how information and media and all these things are way more important than anything like just like records and that type of thing. They were like, you got music? It's like that's what they were like. It better be good vinyls. Like they were just talking about the trading vinyls in this thing. It's okay. We don't. We can.
Like they don't. Like she's like, we don't want your collection of Glenn Miller records. And I would have been like, how dare you?
Did she say that?
No, but it would have been awesome. No, what did she say? She didn't want any spoken word records or anything like that. It's got to be music.
Right. Oh, that's right. She does. She bashes on spoken word. I forgot about that.
So she's like, no Henry Rollins spoken word. And I'd have been like, what? But that's just me.
Okay, so his name is Alden. That's his name.
Okay.
Anyway, and
He's a good new character.
Yeah, I do. Well, I do like. I guess I just like him because I thought that he might be a bad guy, and he turns out to be a good. So it's like one of those things where you're just trying to figure out what this guy's all about.
I like that. I like that when you have a character that at first you're like, I don't know about this guy. I don't trust him. I don't like him. Like Dwight Golden, and then they turn out to be good guy. I mean, as good as you can in this moral gray area, but or world that they live in. But where you realize that like he's more of an ally, than an enemy. So that's cool. I like those transitions.
Yeah. So Dwight. I mean, I hope that he doesn't just fizzle out. I mean, because of his resolution here. Once again, we talked about like the
but even
unbelievably large amount of resolution. Yeah, I know, and that's fine. I guess I just care about what happens to him. So I do want to see him see his wife, and So,
but even if that's it,
if this is all we see him,
then we at least know he made it out alive.
Yeah, that he got away. Yeah,
and he was warned by Daryl not to come back.
So he probably won't. That's
he probably won't unless it's absolutely necessary for whatever reason.
Like you were saying last night, you were saying that like if he was like warning him about something or
something. But even then they'd probably end up, half of them would want to kill him while somebody else would be sticking up for him and they'd get thrown in a jail cell. But we don't see him actually wind up finding his wife, but we do. He goes to the home where he kind of told her to kind of hang out at, and he finds a letter written by her that just says honeymoon, which I'm guessing is sort of a notice to him about where he can go and find her. Is probably where they went on their first honeymoon or whatever. First honeymoon. Maybe they went on 12. I don't know. But where they went on their honeymoon. And so I thought, well, that's cool. If that's a way that they end him, is that he just kind of rides off into the sunset to reunite with his wife. That's a pretty good ending from being a bad guy. Like somebody that you just absolutely...
Who lost everything.
Yeah, but you don't know this at first. Somebody who just seems to be right along with the Saviors, and you want him to die so badly for what he's done to Daryl and stuff, to being a character you're actually sympathetic for. He got a pretty good resolution, I think.
I mean, he's the one who... correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't he the one who basically... when Daryl first gets captured by the Saviors, he plays that song over and over again to Daryl. Yeah, he's the torturer for Daryl.
He's his torturer.
So I am happy with him. Forgive me, what is her name?
Oh, from the trash.
Yeah, the trash lady.
The trash lady.
The woman.
That's her name.
The woman of the. Well, she's great. I actually do love her. I think she's great. And I do like her story a lot.
Character and
she's the one who didn't kill Negan when she had a chance.
Yeah, and she could have, but no, she didn't. No, she did.
Does it start with a D or something?
Let me find out.
I swear she's on the first page. She's got to be up closer. She's definitely part of the main.
Well, this thing is so randomly alphabetical.
I know by her face. Keep going.
Yeah. That's not Laurie Holden because she's dead on the show, not in real life. Pollyanna McIntosh grew up in Portugal and Colombia before returning to her birthplace of Scotland.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, and what's the Jadis?
Oh, that's right.
Jadis
She's
is
a
her
woman. Terrible, terrible film. Land of the Lost. Okay. But yeah, her character name is
Jadis.
Yeah, head of the trash
So
people.
I find it interesting that Morgan finds her out. And she's just by herself in this giant junkyard. It's crazy. But anyway, so yeah, we are. We're finally at the end where it's going to be just really bizarre. This is the moment where we get to talk about what Maggie says. What's that? What is that from? Is that from something?
Oh, that was from The Woman.
Okay, I never saw it. So this is kind of a weird thing. This is the part that you talked about. How bizarre this whole thing is, especially since we had, like I said, I've been on Team Maggie for a long time. It just makes you wonder what they're planning, what they've got going on, because you've got Jesus and Daryl both in this room with her, just basically saying, "Whatever you want, Maggie. Whatever you want."
Yeah. I was just like, what? Really?
It's so weird.
This is going to be the conflict for the next season. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Because it seems like,
especially since like you pointed out about Jesus, like, well, you were talking about how Jesus had basically just gotten done talking to Morgan about how, oh yeah, come on, you have a choice, and just being like this good-natured. But now he's over here just saying, yeah, we got to kill Rick or whatever.
Well, I think as far as Jesus is concerned, because they didn't say kill Rick and Michonne.
No,
I know. They need to sort of be dethroned. Like Maggie's going to assert her power now. Like she's the powerhouse. It's like, wait a minute. Rick and Michonne have been surviving in this land and keeping you alive a lot longer.
Yeah.
But it's because she let the Savior guys come back to the fold, the ones that she'd kept prisoner, and she wanted to kill them, but she kept them alive, and she's now cool with them. But she has a problem with Rick doing the same thing with Negan. Daryl out of nowhere too. That was just a little bit. It seems like a lot of these characters are starting to do little 180s.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
So this is what she says here, and stop me anytime if you have any comments. I would love to hear what you have to say about it. So Maggie's speaking to Jesus. All you see in this scene is her talking to Jesus, and you don't see Daryl's off in the corner. But I just wanted to say that you were right about saving the Saviors from the satellite outpost, having them here. So that, and of course, agreeing to the fact that he agreed that they keep them in custody.
Yeah.
I don't regret what I did, but you were right, and Rick was right about not killing all the Saviors. What did she say? I don't regret what I did. What is she talking about then? Do you know?
I would imagine it was keeping them prisoner.
Okay.
With the intention of killing them.
Okay. So she's not regretting keeping them alive. And Rick was right about not killing all the Saviors. And Jesus agrees. Yeah, he was right. And, Maggie agrees, says, he was. Not about Negan, though. So, it was kind of a weird scene. Just like, there's lust for revenge, it seems that way. Yeah. Or something. We got a lot to do, build, make this place thrive. We need our strength and we need ability to defend ourselves better. That makes me think: is Rick going to go back to Alexandria and then just leave them here? And so she wants to. Anyway, it was just weird. But Rick and Michonne were, they were basically doing the wrong thing. We gotta bide our time and wait our moment, and then we're gonna show him. And Daryl comes out of the shadows and says, "We will." Like, what are they gonna show him? What do you think they're gonna show him?
I hope they just sit. Honestly, that would just like, what are you gonna show him, Daryl?
Yeah.
Please keep your pants on. Don't. Because why, Daryl? Why? And really, you guys. Like 3 really seasons ago, you and Rick were headbutting in tears going, "You're my brother," but like you can't talk to him when you have a problem.
Yeah.
Is this what television does to people?
of all the things, it doesn't make me believe that there's enough of for them just to keep Negan alive. Doesn't make me believe there's enough reason for them to like plan a coup or whatever whatever again, you want to call it.
Because it's so vague, we could be speculating that it's going to be like this murderous evil thing, and really what it could be is
just
they're going to kill Negan and show Rick and Michonne, hey, you were wrong for keeping him alive.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Or maybe Maggie is going to try and usurp him, and for some reason Daryl feels like Rick and Michonne have betrayed them by letting Negan live, even though they've let several people who've killed people in their group and some of the other groups they've merged with alive. So that seems like a really kind of hypocritical stance to be like, well, it's okay that we let these people alive and we killed these people, but not these people. And so it's going to be interesting to see how it develops. But I just honestly, I hope it's not, because we've seen this before in The Walking Dead where they have a community, things are thriving, but there's always somebody who either wants more power or has a vendetta, and it splits the group in half, and then they all fight amongst each other. I don't want to go back to that because we've seen it. Now I feel like with them defeating the Saviors, we've come so far on this show. They've covered so much ground. It would be nice to deal with like the zombie problem again instead of just fighting amongst.
Well, it seems like that's what they're going to do next, is deal with this horde.
Yeah.
I would like to. What would you like to see? I would like to see them, find out what the deal is with the helicopter.
Yeah, no, the helicopter. What's her name from the trash people?
Jadis.
I'll just call her Entity because she reminds me of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it might as well have been Thunderdome, but I really do want to see what the helicopters, because that's not the first time we've seen that helicopter, right?
I think it's the second time.
So I want to know what that's all about. And I also hope, and this is just my personal opinion, but I hope somewhere in that mob of zombies, that horde that's heading their way, I hope it's just chock full of daytime celebrities. Like, I hope it's just zombified The View and The Talk and Judge Judy and all those shows, because I just want to see them all die. I would just hope that if we had a zombie apocalypse, they would all
just die first.
No offense to Whoopi. Whoopi could survive because she is Guinan after all, but everyone else, because daytime television is a wasteland of television. So.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
I would just love it if
that I'm not sorry.
When the daytime apocalypse for television happens, that it makes that sound. Whatever happens there. So, because we're gonna make you watch.
This was a satisfying moment for me.
It's like, and then they're keeping alive to make him watch what happens, and he's just gonna see it all change and everything. Which, well,
it's more important than that. They mentioned we're gonna bring back society. We're gonna try and get back to where we came from, meaning government and structure and less anarchy and chaos. And we're going to make you the example by putting you in prison, and you're going to watch us all flourish and grow and become a thriving community from behind bars where you're going to rot. And I thought that was so cool. So cool because, first of all, they've got so Rick had slit. I'm sure you've seen it, so you'd know by now. Otherwise, spoiler, you shouldn't have been watching, and shame on you. But still, thanks for watching. But he slits his throat. Rick slits his throat and could have let him die, but instead he chooses to save him. And I love how when he wakes up and
he starts to talk.
He starts to talk. They're like, "You're going to suffer for what you did," and he's just like, "I saved people." And then Michonne just puts her fingers right there in that wound. And then Rick's just like, "This is not a discussion."
Yeah, and then Rick is like saying we could loosen some of those stitches, make it feel better for you.
He'll. So that was a very satisfying moment for me.
Yeah, good stuff. So once again, my favorite part of this episode, my favorite character of the season, Gabriel. Thank you for getting his sight back. So beautiful. Yeah. It was and oh my gosh, his performance is so great in this.
Yeah, I like, absolutely. Gabriel's become a really interesting character on this show. So I'm happy that his story arc kind of got resolved.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it was good come around for him. He's a stronger character, and I like him a lot more.
Yeah,
so
I do.
Overall, it was a good season finale with some weirdness, but a good season finale.
Anyway, thanks so much for watching. This is the Fanaddicts of Film, and we're talking The Walking Dead. And thanks again, and have a great day.
And in the words of the immortal Don Cornelius, peace and soul.